If my road had not included a struggle with panic, I cannot imagine who I would be now. For the truth is that anxiety was a part of my life before my trip to Africa, before the larium, before the panic attacks. The intense panic attacks merely served as a wake-up call to an underlying condition I had suffered from so long I didn't know there was another way to live. Anxiety, like a lens through which I viewed everything, affected all of my life, but the panic awakened me. I now know how I can change that lens, keep it from controlling me, and allow it to draw me further into God's grace and healing love. Either because of nature or nurture, it is possible anxiety will always be present in my life in some form or fashion. The ongoing journey to heal my anxiety taught me and continues to teach me so much about myself and the world and how to live in it that I cannot imagine another way. My prayer is that your journey through anxiety will draw you into healing and love as well. Jason's story. I am a runner. I have moved into triathlons more recently, but at heart, I am a runner. Runners set a pace and stick with it. We keep going. At the time of Dena's panic attack, I was about halfway through a Master of Social Work program at Virginia Commonwealth University. I had learned various diagnoses for mental disorders, yet despite this training, I did not know what was happening with my wife. We had not reached our second wedding anniversary or finished our degrees. Dena still had to go through her ordination process. I still had to find a way to help house the homeless. We had set our pace and were starting our race. How could something so troubling happen after Dena's trip to Africa, a trip she had believed to be God's will for her? After the fright of that night in the ER, we followed a trail of referrals and doctors and therapists and medications. Many of you know this trail. It starts with your general practitioner, who may prescribe an immediate need medication like Xanax or Ativan. Then, since your anxiety disorder can affect other systems in your body, you're referred to a gastroenterologist who checks for problems with your digestive system. You may have an endoscopy, a colonoscopy, or a gallbladder scan. You may see a cardiologist and have a stress test, and you may finally find a psychiatrist who understands the medications and how to prescribe them. And hopefully you find a pastoral counselor or therapist that gets it. I have to admit, I did not get it at first. I was worried, frustrated, scared, and exhausted. Dena's sleepless nights were my sleepless nights, too. We lived in Richmond at the time, and there were favorite places we could no longer go because she had had a panic attack there. It made no sense, but anxiety is sticky that way. Because the terror you feel attaches itself to a place, a person, or an event, it is enormously difficult to go back to that place without reigniting that emotional state. Most of the time I was understanding and gentle, but there were times when I was simply exhausted by it all. If you are the spouse of someone struggling with anxiety, know that it does get better. It will require patience. It will call on your endurance. Maybe that is where my running helped. I set a pace, stayed away from the ledge, and kept going. But I will admit that I was not always sure where God was in our struggle. In this book, we will talk frankly about the feeling that God is absent, that God has left us. If we are honest, this is how we feel at times. There is something to be learned from the anxious periods in our lives, something God is trying to communicate to us when we are at our most frightened. Perhaps He wants us to trust Him more, but anxious periods could also be a warning that something in our life is wrong. They could be our call to reach out to those around us, or they could be that proverbial last straw after a lifetime of criticism from parents, intimate others, or even our clergy. Throughout the Gospels, in Matthew,